this has chakras, has a different frequency. That somebody in your family is somehow very confused, trying to sleep and not able to sleep because your consciousness is there saying, oh, and they start the whole chain reaction of mourning when there is an exchange. So after 1 hour, it exchanges to left side, but in between, there's that space.
We're failing maths, so you're trying to activate the left side of the brain.
Yes. Or who have breathing problems, or a child who wheezes a lot, right? They make the sound that comes up from the... What we're working with is this has different frequencies. So every chakras has a different frequency, right? So when we are creating this frequency, it helps us to focus more. So we were talking about, going towards more clear-minded, making right decisions in our lives. So this is something you can buy it yourself. Okay, and whenever you feel that somebody in your family is somehow very confused, you just basically, you take this, and wherever the third eye is, so this has 221.23 frequency, okay, which is perfect for the third eye opening, okay. Third eye opening doesn't just mean, and it also the pineal gland that we talk about, okay? Yeah. So this can be done when the child is sleeping or is trying to sleep and not able to sleep. So this can really help, okay? So what it does is clears our brain of all the doubts or all the negativity that we have. So our brain goes into a loop with one thought. Okay, so a lot of us have a fixation about things that we did something very, probably a minor fault, but you did it because your consciousness is there saying, oh, I didn't do this right, or I didn't do this perfectly. I could have done it better. And that idea just goes into circles in our brain. And what happens with that is any other idea which is new, it's stopped from entering into the memory. So whatever is in the memory, all you are doing is just having one thought. So when that frequency is not broken, it will keep going. A lot of kids with OCD, or a lot of adults with OCD, does anybody know what OCD is? You do. Do you know? Everybody knows what OCD is. It's made it so popular. But OCD is nothing but having one thought of alignment, that everything has to be in a particular manner. If that's not there, they will probably won't be able to sleep or eat. Okay, so that means there's a rotation of thoughts which is like completely taken over their life. During COVID, we saw the case of people washing hands as an OCD that started just suddenly with everybody. And when we gave them the session of frequency channeling, it happened that, it stopped. So it's very powerful when we use it with a quiet mind. Okay, so what we'll do is first as everybody has done the smudging, Kundalini, where you make different sounds to awaken different Kundalis, right? It's nothing but to create that frequency. If you don't know Kundalini, it's okay. You work with that. Okay? Listen to the birds chirping in the morning. I'm sure like when you wake up in the morning, you love the sound of birds. especially if somebody comes from a city where they hardly hear birds chirping. And when they go on holidays, it's almost like they've come back being completely changed. Right? That's because of all these vibrations that are created by different sounds of the birds. And they start the whole chain reaction of morning activities, and it's amazing. That's why they say that bees have their own vibrations when they are creating a different ecosystem. So any birds, any animals, any of the insects that you see has their own frequency. And they carry on certain routines that we just take it for granted. Like we'll see flowers blooming, and we'll see, birds kind of waking up other birds and then being cautious about things. They don't do it by talking, they do it by chirping. Right? So we also come to know that, there's something wrong that is happening today because the birds are not behaving normal. Okay. In traditional Western culture is different to Oriental and Eastern culture. We never put our feet facing the other person. Right? It's almost like you are throwing your negative energy to that person. So when you fold in your legs, you straight away creating the 8. Yeah. So you're not dispersing your energy easily to other people. So it's always, when you're sitting in a group, always make sure that your legs are folded towards you rather than to the opposite person. And especially if that person is your teacher, your mentor. Take a deep breath. If you ask anyone, just general public, you walk out and you ask them, where do you breathe from? They'll say nose, right? Second, they'll probably say lungs because they've learned in school that, you take air in your lungs, and that's why they will just guess. Very rarely you will hear people say diaphragm, okay? Diaphragm is nothing but like here, there is like, in olden times, they used to have like an air pump. Have you been camping? Has anyone gone camping? Yeah. So when you have to make this wood fire, right? And you take this like a pump.
Bellows.
Yes, bellows. So we call it pump. And then when you kind of doing that, the air comes out, right? It's the same thing what God has created in our stomach. And all so when you are taking in, it will expand. And when you're bringing out, it will bring it back to the normal muscles, right? So contraction and expansion. That's all. Whenever you're breathing, even if every 1 hour, if you're breathing in and breathing out for 1 minute, just start becoming more conscious every hour. For 1 minute, you're going to breathe from your stomach and breathe out from your stomach. Yeah, and do this exercise whenever you feel like you're having a headache, okay? Or whenever you feel like you're not able to sleep, or whenever you feel like your child, is not able to concentrate. Make them do this exercise of breathing in from the nose and breathing out from the mouth, okay? Now we're going to do, I think we touched on the first session. We will do a little brief about the right and the left, okay? So we are going to do one exercise again, is how do we balance the right brain and the left brain, okay? So what is right brain for? Okay, so right and left. Now, do you know that you can actually control your brain according to what you want to do? Can you do that? Can you control the right brain and the left brain according to what work you want to do? if there is a natural rhythm in our body, okay, so for 1 hour, you'll always have a right nostrils, which is kind of active, which is the sun. And the other one is the moon, which is the cooling one, which is the left one. So one is masculine, one is feminine. Okay, one is yin and one is yang. Okay, but both of them integrate when there is an exchange. So after 1 hour, it exchanges to left side, but in between, there's that space of few seconds, right? So then at that time, you will have both of your nostrils active. Okay, so that is the part where the brain is getting stabilized from one, then moving to the next. But it has to stabilize itself before it moves into the next phase. But sometimes we want to kind of activate the brain, but without, you said that you have to breathe in through the right and then you activate the left brain, right? It's reverse, okay? Sorry, I just moved forward as if you guys knew. So when we activate the right, it activates the left brain, okay? And when we activate the left, we activate the right, okay? So how would you change the breath without hurting the rhythm? Sometimes you'll see them with the right, and then sometimes you'll see them with the left, depending on the kind of brain activation they want to do. Okay, so the left, like they said, that it's more about analytical skills, right? So what we do is we bring up the right hand. Why don't you do that? Good, Jervin. How many of you have a left one? So anyone with the right, put your hands up so I know. So if yours is left and you want to move it to the right, you will have to put up your left hand. Okay? So whoever's had right, move towards your left. Okay? So put your left hand up. The right side is creativity and the left side is analytical.
So they're failing maths, so you're trying to activate the left side of the brain.
Yes.
And for how long did they do the breathing exercise with the hand up on?
So,
is it the right side or the left side they had to put up? I was just...
No, if it's the left brain, the right hand has to go up. Right? So when you're putting the right hand up, it has to be for at least like 10 minutes or 5 minutes, depends what class it has been before them. So say that if they have been into a physical activity where they had to play football or whatever, then make them do a normal breathing first. Okay, water is another good way of helping to calm down. So first thing, just a sip of water. Please make sure that before breathing work, never fill your tummy up with food, too much food or too much of water. Okay, like just a gulp of water, normal water. And also teach your children to hold the water before taking it inside the body. So some people have this habit of having really cold, chilled water, right? You just ask them to be in a focused state, and then you ask them to recognize whatever breath is coming out from which nostril. Whoever is left already, we need the right one active for the left brain, and the left one active for the right brain. Will you guys be able to remember? It's very simple, opposites. Okay, so if it is right, then you have to move it to the left. All right, so what hand will come up?
Go to the left brain, your
Yes.
hand comes up.
Good.
And then does that help the calming then?
Yes.
That helps the calming.
Yes. 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 It's basically preparing you for the next work that is coming. Right? So it's almost like, when you are going out, you know what to wear according to the occasion, if you knew what the occasion was, right? That's why we use it with kids. right? Because as they are younger, their energy is of air, right?
So just the arm up and the
Yes.
breath is the normal.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would love you to, send me your feedback, whatever if you do work with kids, I would love to know your feedback, because the kids that I worked in Assam, they had like amazing results. Even the kid who never sat in the class, it was like literally having good grades. So this is something that I would like you guys to kind of ask me whatever you want to ask me and email me whenever you do. And another one that if you open the book, there are points there. Increasing antioxidants in your body. Okay? Now you just have to press it really hard. But if you're doing it to the child, not as hard as what you would do to yourself, right? So if this part is the third eye, a wrong conception, majority of the time that I see, is they press here. This is not your third eye. The third eye is up here, in the middle of your forehead. So if you press here, you may not feel that much pain as much as if you press in the middle of your forehead. Yeah? If you find somebody who has migraine, how many of you have frequent headaches? Yeah? So what you ask her to do is press this part, because normally migraine attacks this area, right? So there is a branch which goes from here from the eyes to here, okay? That's why you press it here in the middle for 60 seconds and then release. When you press in the middle, you might feel a little dizzy. So this is not something you should do if you are going out somewhere. Yeah, because what we're doing is when we're pressing, we're almost pressing the nerves that are reaching to the frontal area. And when you have to communicate also, you should not do that. So if you have a speech, don't do this point, otherwise you'll forget the points that you have to speak on the stage, right? So this part, and then this part, just the starting of the eyebrows here. I have it on there? Yeah. So this part, you press it hard. You don't have to rub it. I want you to press it. There's a difference. When you're rubbing it, you're doing something else. And when you press and release, you're doing a different thing. It helps with the tightness. When we are thinking, we move our face like that, right? In the middle. And then we release, it means that you've released the muscles here. So a lot of times when we are sitting in front of the computer or the phone, we're always doing that, right? So that's like, you holding the muscles here really tight. So what that does, it starts creating contractions here. That's why you get glasses, because there's no flow of energy. These are vital energies that our eyes, the sensory organs which are there, it all needs vital energies. Right? The organs which are inside our body, they need a strengthening yin energy. They cannot have an output as much as what our sensory organs need. Okay, so our sensory organs are like constantly taking in, taking out, taking in, taking out, right? But our internal organs has a different rhythm compared to our sensory organs. So if you clench it really tight, that means you're stopping the flow completely in your brain here. So when you do press this point and you press this point, you are pressing and releasing, pressing. It's like, how many of you do gardening? Yeah. Yeah. So whenever you close the front part a little bit, the force increases, right? And when you hold it, you are stopping it and then you're releasing. So what you're doing is you are controlling the flow of water. Okay, and whenever you stop for a couple of seconds, you'll always increase the force. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're kind of pressing it here in the middle, and then we're pressing the eyebrows. Okay, which is very good for migraine, a lot of headaches that people are getting while driving. Yeah, but I would not recommend while driving doing this, because then you will lose the focus. It's almost, you should come home and then do it if you've had a strenuous travel, because now everybody puts like a really bright light, headlights, right? So it's always very stressful. You're kind of going that way when you're driving. So release these muscles so that the energy flows and the blood flows faster to those areas. Now we have the second point, which is here. Can you see? Okay, not here. Here, like a little, you have a little bone here, small bone of the nose. Or who have breathing problems, or a child who wheezes a lot, right? They make the sound that comes up from the neck. A lot of, even adults have that. As soon as there is a change of weather, suddenly they will be like, they'll have cold, whether they do look after themselves or not. So it is natural. So what we're going to do is this part, can you see these two dots? Just beside the nose here. If somebody is having migraine is also one of the side effects of having sinus. Okay, so this point is painful, so you press really hard and then you release it. You will see your breath itself has become light. Press harder and start feeling the different breath. It's nothing but an energy which is stuck completely. It is not flowing at all. So that's what migraine is, almost like pulling from one side, right? So what we will be doing by doing this point, this point, this point, and even this point. So what we're doing is we're releasing those blockages. Yeah, a lot of people say put your feet in the salted water and dip it there and you will get it. Another thing that it solves, again, it helps in removing the toxicity. So that's why your headaches and all of those things go away when you dip your feet in the salted water. Okay? Able to hold that energy if you are moving, because everything, right? Everything is taking energy with you. So when you're driving, you're concentrating, you're also using your movements, right? You're also using your sensory abilities. So when you do this, you will feel dizzy. But the same thing, if you do it at home, in your comfort, you won't feel dizzy. You need to start doing the breath work where you take the breathe in and breathe out from your mouth.
Through the stomach.
Yes. It will help with clear kind of focus rather than, because movement issues come from our cerebral here. Okay? This is like a small brain over here. We have 4 ventricles and then a small brain over here, which controls our movement. Okay? But there is also occipital area lobe here, which is connected to our eyes, smell, and also the food that we eat. Okay? So if there is a pressure created here, it automatically affects your movement of observation and balance. That's why if you are always somebody who are getting irritated by slow movements of somebody else. Yes. I used to, when I came to India, if you go to Mumbai, you go to bigger cities, there's a lot of movements. And especially in London, you don't have that much time. You're just always on the move. Same as New York, right? You're always going somewhere. If you're not going somewhere, that is also a stress why I'm not going somewhere, right? So I used to face that when I came to India. It's like, I went to Dehradun. So Dehradun is like a very quiet. It's supposed to be like for a retirement because it's a beautiful place. Right? Yeah.
I moved from Mumbai, then go then here.
Yeah.
And it was like a shock to me.
Yeah.
Because at past like everybody doesn't work after 4 p.m. Nobody works.
Yeah. Well,
Everybody's chilling.
luckily things are changing now. But yes, when I came, I was like, why is nobody moving?
Yeah.
Like, why don't they have to go anywhere? Why are they not going anywhere? Don't they have But then I slowly understood the reason is, I found them that they have always been growing their own food. They are self-sufficient. So they don't have this worry that money is going to buy everything for them. They are very self-sufficient in producing their own needs. So that's one of the reasons and the women are the most hardworking part of in mountain regions. So you always find them in good health. They're eating pure food, organic. Their air is clean, and the water is of the highest minerals because it's the mountain minerals and all the herbs that are growing there. The water washes down with it. So it carries all the medicinal, kind of goodness in the water. So all the Himalayan water that you drink, it's all filled. It's a natural glaciers just coming down from these mountains. So that's why they live in such a peaceful manner, whereas we have to buy this. So yes, so we come back to the points. Questions can we have at the end so that we then. Because a person who has blocked nerves may not be able to breathe easily, okay? So this will help them to breathe easily. Okay, so the next point, which is over here. Okay, this is the center point of controlling the energy that goes into your brain, and it controls the electric energy that goes in the brain. This is very helpful for children and adults who get seizures here. Okay, and there's a movement there. So this movement goes from here to here. This point is the starting point, so you move the finger, and then you take the energy and you move it here. I know a lot of you who has glasses will feel a little pain here. And then you move up. You could also do, once you do around 30 times, if it's a lot more painful, and then you move to the side. So, a lot of blindness that is coming in today's kids. And move it upwards. See, not turning around upwards. See, you do press here. Can you see? And then you move like that. So I have also seen doing this exercise itself, if a child is going towards blindness, we have reversed their blindness. Okay? So use all these points that I have given here with child who has development issues. All the points, okay? But if you are somebody who has only certain part of things that I'm referring to, just do those points. Okay? Yeah. From the middle towards the brain. Like that. When you do it to the child, you may not be able to do it like the way I showed. You can use 2 hands. Like that. Okay? Again, underdeveloped sensory reflexes. Okay? So this part. Even you can do it with parents who are facing memory issues. Okay? So this is also, as they get older, their memory is getting, lesser and lesser, and dementia and Alzheimer's is something which is the next generation that we need to worry about more. This point will help. You feel pain. Oil, if you have, or some powder, if you're doing it with a child, because they have more sensitive skin. Okay? So the first rub is of 12. The counts you have to follow. The first round is 12. You have to do it really with one. First start with the left, and then do it to the right. Okay? So we're stimulating the vagus nerve. So what vagus nerve is connected to our heart, it is also connected to our stomach. Okay? You must have heard about this vagus nerve, the new trend. Yes? But they teach you to do stretches. But this is for controlling the breath again. So if you're in a situation where you have to be in front of thousands of people, or hundreds of people, depending on what your anxiety levels are, right? So you just continue with these counts. So even with a child who might be going to their exams, okay, but just before they when they reach there, you just do these counts. 12, 24, and 45.
12, then relax, then 24, relax, then 45.
Yes. So when you do 12 on one side, you have to do 12 on the other side. Okay? And always start. Then you are automatically giving that break. Right? So when you do 12 here, you're doing 12 here. So this part is relaxing while you are doing this part. Right? So there's no need of giving break. So then it is 24, and then it's 45. So the last round is 45. This can also help autistic child or ADHD child. Okay? So if the child has ADHD, you give 3 rounds. Okay? If the child has autism spectrum, then you do it for 6 times.
6 and 12? Or...
Yes.
Okay.
Repeat the whole thing 6 times.
Okay.
So the one cycle is 12, 24, 45. That's one cycle on both sides. So left and right. Any confusion? Just ask me questions. That is one round. When you finish the left and the right, doing all these 3, that's one round. Okay? Second round again, we're doing the same.
So this is only for the ear point or for the entire face, whatever points you cover for the eyebrow?
Whatever points I'm giving is mostly for the brain.
My question is like, for that also you have to start with the left.
Yes.
Like for example, if the eyebrows you're pressing, so
Eyebrows are pressing together. Yeah. Eyebrows are pressing together. This part is one, does not have left or right. This part again we're doing it together, right? This again we're doing it together. We're not doing it this we are just doing one part. This you can start with left. Yes.
this one.
Yes. Yes.
And once before leaving,
Yes.
you remember I asked you the same question. Like, can you just let us write how many times and like 30 times, press or 3 times or whatever. Once we
Once we finish all the points, we'll do that. Okay. Now, we're coming down to this point, the jaw point. This is also people who have seizures, anxiety, ADHD, even strokes and paralysis, Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, you will find the patients that you work with, they will have a very tight jaw. Very tight jaw. All these kids who are facing these sensory input issues, they will always clench really hard in their mouth. Even people who have strokes, they will clench really hard. Right? So what we need to do is we need to open this part up. So what we're doing is we're moving from here, and then we come in here where just this part is. Whoever is having that issue of grinding teeth, this helps. Yeah. So take care. The healing comes from the heart, and that's what they meant when they talked about that, right? Now, whoever's child is not able to communicate, the communication it comes from this, and also if there's no growth in the child, the height, they're not able to grow as what normal development of a child should be. So what we're doing is this, and then you're going from here. So you will probably cough when I do it to you. Yeah? So normally you bring the energy to that area, right? So automatically that healing starts happening with what your question is.
This is not my real voice, it's the tool. Because I got like I'm speaking from here for past 1.5 years.
Right.
Concentrating on that.
Yeah, so you can have that. But along with that, you need to have some ginseng. Ginseng, it's like a herb you're able to get. It's a very common herb now. Yeah, have that ginseng and have turmeric.
Okay.
Okay,
Ginseng
you
is
add.
like Malay tea?
No. Ginseng is different. You just ask them if they will
just chew it or just with warm water?
No, take it with warm water. Yeah, don't chew it. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so the last point that we have left is right on the top of the head that I haven't covered. Okay? This is where the tapping comes into action. Okay? So this area is the frontal area, right? But we also control a lot of our body movements, stiffness, and we move that energy out of the body by first going up. So the directions I've got it here, it's going up, it's not going down. So, okay, when you're sitting down to just eat, you breathe from your right nostril 27 times. Okay, so let's do that. If we go in, Shanti. And slowly open your eyes.
Isla, I'm from Australia, and I feel really good after that session. It was really practical. We learned some great strategies that we can take forward working with children with special needs, but also in our own life. And yeah, I really found presented to be so warm and kind and answered all our questions, and I learned a lot. So I'm hoping I get to spend some more time with her and keep learning these beautiful wisdoms that she has. Thank you.